Hi, everyone, and welcome back. We're about to enter one of the parts of this program that I am most excited about, intuition. And if you've been with me thus far, you remember the story I shared about how, after taking a class on meditation and intuition, I learned to accelerate my career. One of the first steps to start harnessing intuition is to learn how to make the distinction between ideas that I put in you from the outside world and ideas that come from within. And the second way to fine-tune intuition is to have clarity of vision. You are beginning to get there. There's a third ingredient, of course, and that is being in a positive, happy state. You've learned this too. Some people ask me, Vishen, why do you teach intuition first in this program rather than bending reality? I like to explain it this way. A lot of people may learn the skills of shifting reality and manifesting, but they manifest in the wrong direction to end up disappointed with what they got. You have to learn intuition first. Intuition is the compass. It helps you understand what direction to be pointed in. And when you know that direction, that's when you move forward. A prerequisite for intuition is being able to meditate. I want to invite my friend, Emily Fletcher. She's the author of the M-Word program on Mindvalley, our official meditation program, to tell you about the relationship between intuition and meditation. These are two halves that dance together. Here's Emily.
So intuition is one of these words that people throw around a lot, and I'm not sure how many people really are practicing or cultivating the skills to be able to hear your intuition on a daily basis. Here's the reality. If you don't have a daily meditation practice, then it's very hard to tell the difference between your critical mind and your intuitive mind, right? It's like our left brain critical mind is always screaming at us, like, I suck, I suck, I suck. I'm going to die alone with cats eating my face. And it's very hard to hear your intuition while your critical mind is screaming at you, because your intuition whispers. It's like, write that book, call that guy, start that company. And so what meditation does is that we actually start practicing taking our right brain to the gym every single day. And your right brain is the piece of you that is in charge of intuition. It's the piece of you that actually connects to collective intelligence, right? Like, I like to think about intuition and creativity as a Wi-Fi network, and our right brain is the router. Our right brain is the piece of us that allows us to connect to the collective intelligence. Now, the left brain is the actual computer. Now, imagine you connect that computer to the internet. How much smarter does it become? Now, another big concept here is that most of us, before we have a daily meditation practice, before we have the ability to actually access our fulfillment in the only place that it resides, which is inside of you, then we're all looking for our fulfillment externally. In the next job, the next boyfriend, the next zero in my bank account, the next pair of shoes, the next bottle of wine, wherever you happen to look for your fulfillment. And most of us do this until we die. We're just in this I'll be happy when syndrome, trying to fill ourselves up. But once you start a daily meditation practice, you actually start to access the source of fulfillment internally. And that allows you to actually trust your intuition. And the more you meditate, the louder the volume on your intuition becomes, and the softer that critical mind becomes. And then that gives you a fighting chance of which voice you want to listen to.
Since you now have a meditation practice, as of yesterday, we're now going to start adding levels of intuition into your meditation practice. Before we begin, I want you to open up your journal and find that chart of happiness in the now and vision for the future that you plotted before. How have things changed for you? Plot your happiness in the now and plot your vision for the future. One of the most important things for intuition to emerge is happy, positive states. Intuition kinda sucks when you're feeling lousy about yourself. So the happier you are, the more intuition flows through you. Happiness is a window to intuition. Secondly, intuition can be fuzzy, but when you have a clear goal, you get the right intuition to move you towards that goal. Because it was an intuitive impulse that led me to start AFES, but that intuitive impulse happened because I clearly listed down my goals of what type of experiences and learning opportunities and contribution I wanted to make in the world. The University of Edinburgh did a study called the Gansfield Test Studies, and this is what they did. They took hundreds of participants and divided them into senders and receivers. The senders would be in a room and they would be shown on a monitor 1 of 4 scenes. The receivers were in a different room, and they were put in a relaxed state of mind in what was essentially a sensory deprivation chamber. When you look at the videos of the study, which you'll find online on YouTube, it looks kind of weird. They had like ping pong balls over their eyes so they couldn't see. They were in darkness. They were put in a flotation tank. There was subdued red light around the room. What they were trying to do was dull the senses. Now, what was interesting was the senders watching the video had to attempt to send mentally to the receivers in the sensory deprivation chamber the image of what they were seeing. The receivers were then awakened and they were shown the 4 images, and they had to choose the correct image. If the world was based solely on probability and data, what would be the percentage that they would get right? It would be 25%, 1 out of 4, right? There was only 1 image shown and there were 4 to choose from. But in the actual study, receivers were able to hit 33%. That is astonishing. That's 1 out of 3. Now, 33% doesn't imply an 80 or 90% hit rate. So you might be thinking, well, is that even useful? Well, here's the thing. That itself shows that intuition is real. And think about this in terms of life. You don't have to be 80% accurate or 90% accurate all the time. You only have to be slightly more accurate than the average for you to do really well in business or in life. And there's evidence for this too. Dr. John Michalski of the Newark College of Engineering wanted to see if CEOs with high intuition ability were simply better CEOs. So he did a study. He published this in a book called Executive ESP. And this is what Michalski found. He found that there's a direct correlation between CEOs' intuition ability and company profits. A direct correlation. I was on an interview on impact theory with Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu was one of the founders of Quest Nutrition, a $1 billion food brand. And we spoke about meditation, and I asked Tom this question: where do your ideas come from? Tom said, well, 80% of my ideas come during meditation. He says, I call this practice Thinkitation. Watch Tom describe this.
Thinkitation is in meditation, you're not supposed to grab onto your thoughts,
right?
Which I actually found frustrating. And so it was causing me a problem in meditation. So I thought, well, what if I just promise myself that once I get into that state, then I can grab my computer, put it on my lap, continue my breathing cycle to stay in that alpha wave state. But if an idea comes that's interesting, I will grab. I don't think of it as grabbing it, to be honest. I think about it as riding a wave. And so I'll ride it, really follow it, see where it goes, take notes, write it down, try to get back on the wave or catch a different one. And probably 80% of the good ideas that I have in the business come from Thinkitating.
So as you can see, here's a man who built a $1 billion company, and he's saying 80% of his ideas come during meditation. That is what intuition can do for you. That is the edge intuition can give you. And if that data isn't enough, let's just look at the life of the man who is widely considered to be the greatest CEO who ever lived and possibly the greatest entrepreneur of the modern era, Steve Jobs. Walter Isaacson, who wrote the biography of Steve Jobs, wrote this down when he described Steve's world view. Throughout his life, he would seek to follow basic precepts of Eastern religions, such as the emphasis on experiential prana, wisdom, or cognitive understanding that is intuitively experienced through concentration of the mind. Your mind slows down and you see a tremendous expanse in the moment. You see so much more than you could see before. It's a discipline. You have to practice it, said Steve Jobs. Walter Isaacson continued. He was a genius, someone whose insights came out of the blue and require intuition more than mere mental processing power. Steve Jobs was a highly intuitive being. He spoke about intuition even in his public talks, and he wasn't the only one. But first, I want to take the word intuition and break it down into its constituent pieces. There are 5 distinct types of intuition. The first type of intuition is intuition as a warning system. I experienced this once, and it saved my life. I was driving a car, and a really weird song came in the radio. See, I don't know about you, but I'm a big Black Eyed Peas fan. Now, sometime around 2008 or 2009, the Black Eyed Peas released a really weird song called My Humps. So I was driving my car and My Humps come on the radio. And all of a sudden, I hear a voice in my head, pay attention to the road. Immediately, my attention goes from the song to the road. And all of a sudden, on my right-hand side, a car hits the brakes. There's a truck behind the car. The truck rams into the car. The car jumps up and lands directly in front of me, and I have just enough time to brake. My intuition or that voice or whatever it was that I heard saved me from getting into an accident because I was obsessed by the lyrics of a rap song. The second type of intuition is intuition as a form of connection. This type of intuition as a connection seems to come when we are deeply connected and have a feeling of love with someone. The third is intuition as inspiration. We see these popping up all across the world. In my case, I experienced a really puzzling level of inspirational intuition when I was writing my first book, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It was December, shortly before Christmas, and the book was due. I had a few days to turn in the manuscript, but when I read the final chapter of the book, chapter 10, I felt it was off. It just didn't resonate with me. I decided I was going to scrap the entire chapter because a new idea for a chapter 10 came to me. I sat down and in 8 hours over one day wrote the new chapter 10. It ended up being the most loved chapter of the book. That chapter 10 was later turned into a documentary called Live Your Quest. That is intuition as it pushes forth inspiration. Next, there's intuition for support. This is when you ask a question to your guides or your angels or whatever higher power you believe in, and you get an answer. And the final type of intuition is higher purpose intuition. This is when your soul moves you through a Satori experience into a new direction, where inspiration and intuition guide your intention. It is the intuition that moves people to do big things. I sent an email once to readers of my blog to ask them to share their intuition stories. We received 800 stories of intuition. This is so real, and so many people around the world are experiencing it. I predict that within 10 years, intuition will be part of regular curriculums in many schools and openly taught in businesses. So now we're going to go back to a meditation practice. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to take you into this meditative level, but we're going to give you time to thinkitate, reach a deep level of mind, and just let your intuition flow. First thing is, I want you to close your eyes. I'm going to count for you, and I want you to see and mentally repeat with me as I count the number 3 times. 3, 3, 3. 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, mentally go deeper. I'm now going to guide you through a full head-to-toe relaxation. I want you to draw your attention to your forehead. Allow your forehead to relax. Allow this feeling of relaxation to flow gently downward to your eyelids. Feel your eyelids relax. Allow this feeling to flow gently downward to your jaw. Feel your jaw relax. Now draw this feeling gently downward to your neck. Relax your neck. Now your shoulders. Relax your shoulders. Now your arms, all the way down to your fingers. Relax your arms. Now your chest. Relax your chest. Relax your abdomen. Relax your hips. Bring this wave of relaxation down gently, all the way to your thighs, your knees, your calves, your feet. Feel your body relax all the way from your head to your feet. Now, as you're in this deep level of mind, I'm going to ask you to thinkitate. I'm going to ask you to try to think about something you are seeking to solve, invent, create, or produce, for which intuition can be a guide. Perhaps it is something you need to write, or a talk you need to give, a presentation you need to put together. Maybe it's a problem with your family or a loved one that you need a resolution for. I want you to frame the problem in your mind and gently ask, as if you can talk to your soul, what should I do here? Now just let your mind flow and think and create. Observe the thoughts coming in. Think about the problem as you would if you were fully awake in the waking state. Do new insights come into play? Do new thoughts come into play? I'll give you a few moments to dwell and think about the answers to this problem while at this deeper, more relaxed level of mind. Two minutes passed. We will now bring you out of this meditation. I will bring you out of this level by counting from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, coming out slowly now. 4, 5. Eyes open, wide awake, feeling fine and in perfect health, feeling better than before. So congratulations, you just tried a simple experiment with meditation and Thinkitation, asking your mind to give you answers or ideas to solve a problem. Tomorrow, we'll start going deeper into a more refined, advanced practice of intuitive listening. But for now, I just want to give you a quick list of 4 books I think you would really enjoy. These books changed my life. The 4 books are this. First, The Field by Lynn McTaggart. The Field became a fascinating book on just how the mind is everywhere and intuition is real. The second is The Holographic Universe by Michael Talbot. This is a classic text describing a new model of understanding reality that explains why intuition exists and why we seem to be able, as consciousness, to shift reality. The third book is Best Evidence by Michael Schmicker, and he wrote this book to list out the best evidence for all the different aspects of intuition out there. And the final book is The Conscious Universe by Dean Radin, PhD. This is a great book if you have an engineering mind and you really need to see the data. Now, I recommended those books in order of what I recommend you read first. Now, I want you to think about a time when intuition supported you. Write that down in your journal. And if you intuitively feel you need to share it, go ahead and post it in our online community, because your stories of intuition will inspire other people to listen to that still, powerful voice within. I'll see you tomorrow.